Well, we are live. Sorry about the delay. Getting the last minute tabulations. Wanted to make sure we had the data correct. This is well, it might not be the last, but it is at least one of the election coverage shows that we're doing here at Yes California. Since the election was finished, I have been saying that the media will do everything it can to not say what the results are. And that's basically been true over the last week. We've seen it's too close to tell. Jesus. It's too close to tell. We can't tell what's going to happen. Who's going to win? It'll be a tight race. And the entire time we at Yes California were saying, no, it's going to go to Republicans. Oh, you don't know that. This could go this way. This could go that way. And then all of a sudden, the other day, with no fanfare, Nancy Pelosi suddenly announces her retirement. So it goes, we can't tell, we can't tell, we can't tell, we can't tell all week. And then all of a sudden, Nancy Pelosi goes, with no fanfare, I'm out. That's exactly what I was saying. They didn't want to admit the obvious at the election, and they've been doing everything they can to stall the conclusion and to mislead people about the conclusion. Trump was horrible. The Republicans got pounded. Democrats did awesome. Let me show you how that's all garbage. And let me show you how this is the conclusion. Yes, California, Calexit predicted. This is what we said. Republicans are going to win everything. Oh, you don't know that. You don't know that. That it's too close to tell. Boy, it's going to be close. And I was pointing out in different shows that they won't admit the obvious. They won't come to these conclusions. They're just going to go, it's so close. You see all the Democrats saying that. You see all the media, which is controlled by the Democrats, saying that. And what does it turn out to be? Republicans win. Well, let me show you. So Republicans win everything because they are the real America. That's literally what we told you. Let me show you real quick. Here we go. So this is the election night coverage. Here you go. And let's take a look at governor races. The GOP wins 25 to the Democrats 24. And this is key. There are now 25 red states. All we need to have California voted out is 25 red states. We now have 25 red states. Let's take a look at U.S. House elections. GOP wins by 6 seats. I thought they were going to get more, but okay. So Republicans definitely win the House. That was obvious from day one, and they would not call it. That was the thing that I knew was off. It was obvious Republicans going to win the House, and they go, we can't tell. It's too close to. No, it was obvious day one. You just didn't want to say it. So Republicans win the House. There's more Republicans winning in the House. There's more Republicans winning governor seats in every seat. And there's more Republicans winning the Senate, exactly like we said. Well, no, Dems are going to win the Senate. They'll control the Senate. No, Republicans are going to win the Senate. You don't know that. Okay, well, here you go. Republicans win the Senate. And I also want to point out something else. See this right here? 2 seats held by independent senators who caucus with Dems, right? So there's not even 48 Dems. There's actually 46 Democrat senators to 49 GOP senators. So there's 49 actual hardcore Republican senators, but there's only 46 actual Democrat senators. So 46 to 49 is actually the number. There's only 46 Democrats to 49 Republicans. And let's take a look at those 2 independents. So independent senators, one of whom is Angus King. The other one is Bernie Sanders. Now, obviously, Bernie Sanders is going to be tied to the Democrats, but who's Angus King? Angus King is an independent senator from the state of Maine. He won Maine's Senate election in 2012 to replace the Republican Olympia Snowe in 2013. And then he won a second election in 2018 due to instant runoff. And now he won his 2022 election. So who is Angus King? Let's take a look. During his tenure, King was the only governor in the United States unaffiliated with any political party. He was only one of two governors not affiliated nationwide with either two parties, the other being Jesse Ventura. Here we go, Senate. On November 6, 2012, King won the Senate race with 53% of the vote, beating Democrat Cynthia Dill and Republican Charlie Summers. The following week, King announced that he would caucus with Senate Democrats. Okay, so here's why they say he caucuses with Senate Democrats. And here's what he said, explaining not only that it makes more sense to affiliate with the party that had a clear majority, but that he would have been largely excluded from the committee process had he not caucused with the party. So he did not caucus with the Democrats because he loved the Democrats or because he felt loyalty to them. What he's saying here is that they won a clear majority, so it's better to be with the winner. And if he didn't caucus with the Democrats, they would remove him from all committee assignments. That is not a statement saying love for the Democratic Party and everything they say. And here's how we can tell. King had not ruled out caucusing with the Republicans if they took control of the Senate in 2014. But when Republicans did win the majority that year, he remained with the Democrats. So that's fair. But he has said, he wasn't in love with the Democrats and he would work with the Republicans. And let's go here. Senate filibuster opposed the House King endorsed Susan Collins, calling her a moderate senator. So who's Susan Collins? Susan Collins was a senator from Maine who was a Republican. So he endorsed a Republican senator, and he said he would work with Republicans. But the media says he's just completely independent. That's not true at all. So he's not completely independent. None of his background is mentioned, but Angus King caucused with the Democrats not out of love, but because he felt that he had to. He would work with Republicans if he had to. And he's one of the two independent senators. They're not mentioning that. So when they say Senate results 48 Dem, it's actually 47. It's really 46 Dem. You can consider Bernie a Dem. But Angus King is a moderate and said that he would work with Republicans and has voted for Republicans and has never said he was tied to Democrats. So is it really 48 Dem? It's probably 47 Dem to 49 Republican. And it's certainly Republicans winning anyway in the Senate. So Republicans own the Senate, Republicans own the House, and Republicans own 25 of the governor's seats, which is why we concluded Republicans will win everything because they are the real America. And remember, this is Trump's Republican Party. Now, there's a lot of talk about how Trump should be criticized for not helping the Republicans do so well this election. And that's fair. But what's also part of that statement is that Trump was the Republican Party this election. So you can't criticize Trump for his outsized influence on the Republican Party and say the Republican Party could have done better, but they didn't do as well because of Trump's influence, and also say Trump didn't have influence. Not possible. So you can't criticize Trump for having too much influence and say he didn't really have influence. Trump had massive amounts of influence on this Republican Party. So this is Trump's Republican Party. And in 2016, we were told they would never, ever come back. 2016, we were told he's gone forever and America will learn its lesson. It's 2022. They didn't learn their lesson in the 2020 elections, and they didn't learn their lesson in the 2022 election. So how many more elections is it going to take for real Americans to learn their lesson? That's the next question. Hey, what's going on?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Very good. We're doing an election show. How are you doing this morning or afternoon? And you're in Utah, right?
It's afternoon here. We're just an hour ahead, so it's 2. I'm good. I just did some freelance work for my other job that I just started. and I'm gonna be designing some dog bow ties. That's a big part of my puppy couture line.
Yes, and that is excellent marketing because you got the puppy to bark right after you said puppy couture.
Yes, that was unintended, but it worked out.
I would say that was intended and say that the next time just go, oh no, I was training that dog. He's on the team. Because
Oh
if you
yeah.
every time you go puppy couture, I mean that's
Oh yeah, I also decided to move to San Diego and
hey.
next year. Yeah, just because it's better for my career. There's more fashion there than Eureka. I would have to be strictly remote up there. Also, puppy couture. I could see that being huge over there.
San Diego people have a lot of dogs.
Yeah.
They really like walking their dogs. They really like their sense of community. San Diego is a beautiful community with a very strong sense of civic pride. You'll love it there.
Yeah, I visited in 2019, and I really thought to myself, like, I could see myself living here. But unfortunately, the college I chose was in New York City, because the mainly what brought me to that college was the internship program.
Well, New York City is the home of fashion, right? And you want
Yeah.
to get into that industry, so it's kind of easier to do it that way. So good. When are you coming back to San Diego next year?
Yeah, I'm planning on like fall 2023. That will give me enough time to save up, get my jobs lined up, and I need to work on getting a new car since I sold mine when I moved to New York.
Oh, that's right, because um,
You don't drive over there. Yeah.
okay. Um, okay. So what do you, Rosalind is working with us on
Merchandise.
I'm sorry. My brain's in the election thing and I'm reading the comments here.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah. So you're working on the merchandise with Jason. That's freaking awesome. But let me ask you real quick. So we're covering election results, right? And I want to ask you just straight up, somebody from California, what do you think of the election results? Because it basically went all Republican. So the
Yeah.
Republican Party has been tied to Trump. Maybe people are criticizing Trump this election, but the whole thing went to, there's more Republican governors than Democratic governors. There's more Republican members in the House than Democrats, and there's more Republicans in the Senate than the Democrats. So they literally won all the states and the Senate and the House. And this was Trump's party. What do you think that means to you that we saw Trump win election in 2016? And we were told as Californians, he's an aberration. He's not the real America. He's a fluke. Probably a foreign government got him in and not real Americans. That's the only thing, because he's so not American. And then Americans voted for basically Trump Republicans in the 2020 election and now in the 2022 election. So we were told we're getting rid of Trump. He survived. His ideology is here 6 years later, 3 elections later. Does that sound like we're getting rid of the ideology of Donald Trump?
Not at all. Not at all. I have to be honest. Unfortunately, I was not legally able to vote this election because I haven't been a resident in the state of Utah for 30 days. So it was unfortunate, but next time I'll be able to vote legally.
Hey.
But it happens.
It happens. Yeah. But what does it say to you as an American, as a California nationalist, that you live in a country where you were told 6 years ago, Donald Trump is evil, wicked, nasty. He's the opposite of everything in California. He doesn't represent American values. And then the guy almost wins re-election in 2020, and all of his friends win election, and then all of his friends win election enough to beat the Dems in 2022.
Well, first of all, I don't really see a difference between Trump and Biden. Like I don't know why everybody is saying Biden's so much better. It's the same thing. So they're the same person.
Yeah, that's awesome. Totally agree. We've been saying that here for Trump and Biden are the same. So kids
And
and cages.
unfortunately, my age group tends to believe that Democrats are the better choice, which is really, really scary to me. I'm the only, I'm practically the only person that thinks this. So out of everyone in my average group, they think the Democrats are the way to go, but they're hurting just as much. So,
And I think that has to do with the media. So we have
yes.
a small independent media channel. We have talked. We've also talked with Daniel. He agrees. But short of like our personal connection, this isn't the message we hear in the media. So in the mainstream media, you're not hearing um, Donald Trump had Latin kids in cages and Joe Biden has Latin kids in cages, and they're equally horrible for that. There was one article by the New York Times admitting that 2 years ago, and then you never heard anything in print again. One article, and then never mentioned again in the news. So, of course, people aren't going to get it. I mean, if
Yeah.
they're not talking about it and they're not reporting on it,
They're biased. They're biased. They're either left leaning or right leaning, and they're not reporting the facts. They're reporting their opinions.
um, and that's yeah, and that's the thing is how people don't even know they're biased, right?
Yeah.
So people don't even know that they don't know all the policies that Trump and Biden are doing the same. So we're aware because we cover it here with our small media network. In the mainstream media, they don't routinely point this out. These guys are doing many of the same things. Biden continues his policies. So that would be why there's the disconnect. But I want to ask you, though, is it shock you that because you've lived in New York and you've lived in Utah and you're moving to California and you've met a fair amount of people, does it shock you that America, at least the middle of America, would be a place that seems permanently attracted to Trump's ideology?
No, it's not shocking to me at all. He seems to attract to a particular group of people, and they just jump on the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'd have to admit, the Mormons in Utah, the Republican Mormons don't like Trump.
Oh, because of his anti-religious stuff or idolatry?
I think it's just because they say that he's too provocative for a president.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they are becoming I'm not religious at all, but they're becoming more progressive, actually. And you know what, Marcus? I think a big reason why is because Californians are moving to Utah, like for jobs and stuff. So it's becoming like a mini Cali over here.
That's something. I mean, that's what they're talking about. The Californians moving out there, and then they're changing the laws, and then the people go, oh, "Wow, these Californians coming out here," and then that's when you start seeing real Americans express how they feel about California culture because they actually meet Californians.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh God, we don't like your kind around here and we don't want your values. And then you're like, okay, well, this is what we were telling you. California values are very different from American values. And Americans seem to see that.
I've met a lot of Utahns that like them coming here.
Awesome.
But then a lot of them don't. I just avoid people like that. Although one negative effect about it is that more people moving here is driving the prices up. But
That's fair.
that's everywhere. It's
That's
especially
absolutely
difficult during inflation. Actually, what's crazy is the average rent where I'm at in St. George, Utah, is more expensive than the average rent of my hometown in Sacramento, California. It's not weird.
wow.
Yeah, crazy, right? I think it's
Wow.
because we're right by Zion National Park, and they're really like making it a big tourist attraction. So it
Okay.
makes the demand go up. People are coming like from other countries for the
Okay.
natural wonders.
Okay.
It's crazy though.
Well, let me ask you one more time. Let me show you these election maps, and I want to get your opinion again. I think I already know, but just to cover it one more time, we also have some new information from Jason Wright. So, uh, the U.S. Senate, 49 Republicans to 48 Democrats. We're actually saying it's more like 47 Democrats to 49 Republicans because Angus King is not a Democrat. He's an independent, and he has worked with Republicans before and said that he would.
Mhm.
There's two independents here. They're not mentioning that one of them was basically a guy who, yeah, he hangs out with the Dems, but he's pretty friendly with the Republicans. So I'd call it 47 Dem to 49 GOP.
Mhm.
We look at the House. Republicans straight up won. Nobody wanted to admit that. Uh,
Mhm.
218 to 212. I mean, look at the interior of America is like all red,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, California is more red than people think it is.
True, true. But we're part blue.
That's
And
true.
my favorite is the pink. The light pink means it's turning blue because I live in that
Mhm.
light pink area in the Central Valley. That would have
Mhm.
been hardcore red 10 years ago. Now it's light pink because the demographics shift. But
Well,
still,
California used to be Republican ran.
true. Very true for a long time. But I would
Uh-huh.
say even during that time, they had California values. For example,
True.
Ronald Reagan was a governor of California, and a lot of people don't like him, but he when he became president, he recognized that we put Japanese people in internment camps. He did something to recognize indigenous people.
Mhm.
He did something on environmental policy. Those are all things Republicans would hate today.
It's
Uh,
true.
but and I'm not endorsing Reagan. I'm just saying that yes, we had conservative governors from California, but if you look back at them, they did very California type things.
They're
Uh,
not as conservative as like someone in Texas or the
Not
South.
on social
Yeah.
issues. Yeah, taxes, of course, but not on social issues. I don't think.
Oh, I said Texas, not
Yeah,
Texas.
Texas.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. Versus Texas. Absolutely. Social issues, California, Texas, very different. Now so majority Republicans, the entire interior of America, except for maybe New Mexico, is red. If we look at governor races, it's 25 GOP to 24 Democrats. But Jason was pointing out right here 35 of 36 seats for election have been called. The 36th seat that hasn't been called is Alaska.
oh,
So
okay.
Alaska is not called yet. And what they're not telling you is the two top candidates in Alaska are both Republicans. So
Alaska
Alaska,
has the highest rate for violence against women in this country. It's terrible.
really? Okay. Um, why do you think that is? Indigenous women? I've heard a lot of
Indigenous.
missing Indigenous women.
I was gonna say Indigenous women are not. They're when they're missing, they're not reported as much on the news and the media. Probably because of how the system sets it up. It doesn't protect them.
Yeah. We work with Julina Costa of the Pomo Indigenous Group in Mendocino County. And she routinely talks about how the Indigenous in that far northern county, but still here in California, are not treated fairly. So I
Mhm.
guess absolutely believe that. When we look at our final tallies, the final tallies are this: 46 to 49 Senate, 26 to 24. I'm sorry, 24 to 26 governor, and then we're looking at 212 to 218 for House. And so when we predicted that Republicans were going to win everything, this is how it ultimately looks like it's coming out to be. There's going to be 46 Democrats in the Senate to 49 Republicans in the Senate. And the states and governors, there's going to be 24 Democratic states to 26 Republican states, most likely, including Alaska. And when we look at the House, it's going to be 212 Democrats to 218 in the House. So 46 to 49 in the Senate, control to the Republicans, 24 to 26, control of the states, the Republicans, 212 to 218, control of the House through Republicans, which is backing up what we said here. Calexit predicted, nobody was going to back us up. Republicans win everything because they are the real America. And this backs up what you were saying, Rosalind. You're saying, hey, I'm aware of these things. A lot of my friends are. We were the only group to predict Republicans were going to win everything. Like all the other liberal media establishments, you don't know that. It's too close. No. They're going to win everything. So
Yeah.
How come we called it right and everybody else got it wrong?
Because you guys look at the facts and you're not biased.
There you go. And your friends, unfortunately, are not getting the actual information. So we also want to say, Daniel keeps bringing this up, so I'll mention it. Today is Joe Biden's birthday. I don't want to wish him a happy birthday. I hope he.
Nobody does.
I don't want anything bad to happen to the guy. I just want him to like go away to a pasture and just sit in a rocking chair and just stare off into the sunset.
Yeah.
But
I just think he should be in a nursing home and not a president.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when it says in the Constitution itself that if the president cannot enact the duties, they're supposed to step down. That's literally written in the document. And we can't. So we're not even following the Constitution because the Constitution very clearly says if somebody's acting like that, you have them removed peacefully. And then, the vice president steps in, but which wouldn't be much better. But America's so blatantly not working. We're clearly not following very clear provisions in the Constitution. Right? It's obvious as day. That's what you're supposed to do. We're not doing that. We're also, but I mean, hey, Kamala Harris is the vice president of America, and she also committed a felony listed in the Constitution. You're not allowed to joke about killing the president of the United States. And she did in 2016. And then she got vice president. So she has broken the law according to the Constitution. And the Democrats are also breaking the law according to the Constitution by not removing Joe Biden. So what we have is a party where just go ahead and break the law in the Constitution. Who cares what the Constitution says? Just break the law, don't follow it, do whatever you want, still be in the party in power, and people will not question you and go along with it, which to me says a collapsed system. You can't even follow the basic rules.
The Republicans do the same exact thing. They both do the same thing all the time. Yeah, and all this fraud committed by both parties, proven.
Right.
Sexual assault, proven.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sexual assault. I remember that Epstein Island is not a conspiracy theory anymore.
It's not.
It's a real thing. I remember for years they said that's a conspiracy. You can't say that. And now it's like, no, it's true.
And who was there? Bill Clinton was there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trump was seen with Epstein.
Yeah, Trump and Bill Clinton. So, Republican, Democrat. Thank you for bringing that up. So, let me ask you, as a woman, as a California woman, you hear accusations of rape and all sorts of victimization of women against Bill Clinton for years. And we're told rubbish. And then one day it comes out, well, actually, that island he said he never went to, he totally went to. And that was the island where you guys were thinking maybe he raped people. Now, we don't
Oh,
have evidence.
he was caught with 2 underage women naked on the
Yeah.
beach.
Oh, he was? Okay.
I'm pretty sure, or maybe they were just barely underage, but yeah, I don't like that.
But all sorts of accusations against Bill Clinton, victimizing women. We're told there's nothing to it. Then all of a sudden it comes out totally true. He went to that island. Not sure if the victimization part, blah, 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 but definitely the island part. And it looks really horrible. And 2 weeks after it comes out that, yeah, Bill Clinton was on that island, probably victimizing women, he holds a conference with Kamala Harris on the future of women and girls.
Oh,
Does that make you feel good or
no,
creepy inside?
creepy. I don't want to someone accused of sexual assault
What?
talking about my future.
What? Well, that's what America thought was okay, and they did it
Yeah.
with Kamala Harris and Bill Clinton. So the
Oh,
Democratic Party thought that was totally cool. Is that not totally cool?
no, it's not. It's disgusting.
Oh my God.
And the Republicans do the same thing. They all do it. All of them.
True. Absolutely. Donald Trump victimized a lot of women.
His own daughter too.
Yeah, right. And but I think they'll mention that. They'll mention, Trump the rapist, and I don't support that all either, and I want him prosecuted. It just bothers me that I remember they would bring up Trump probably raped these women during the election, but they wouldn't bring up the women that Bill Clinton raped. And I remember the 2016 election, and Trump had 3 different women in the front row who accused Bill Clinton of raping them. And Hillary Clinton played it off like that's a stunt, and everyone believed her and no one believed Trump. And yet when you look at those women's stories, they have credible rape accusations better than any of the women against Trump. But Hillary Clinton,
That's
a
true.
woman, was able to discount that. How does that make you feel as a woman, that woman running for president? Let's not talk about these women with credible rape accusations against my husband. Also, I believe there was a member of The View. You ever see that TV show, The View? It's a bunch of women talking on TV.
I hardly watch it. I think all they say is bullshit, but
Sure. You're familiar with it.
yeah, I'm familiar with it.
On that show, The View, during this time, one of the hosts said, "Why do we care what a bunch of whores have to
Oh,
say about Bill Clinton?"
wow.
So,
That's
no,
victim blaming.
is that cool? And is it cool that Hillary Clinton couldn't condemn The View for doing that? Hillary Clinton couldn't condemn her own party for doing that, and people like AOC couldn't condemn it either, and Elizabeth Warren. What does that say to you as a woman, that none of these women could criticize those behaviors? Is that cool? Does it make you
No,
feel safe?
no, it sounds like victim blaming, and it sounds like that. It almost sounds like they're getting paid off or something, or they just only care about themselves and not other women.
What about the fact that I believe her name was Juanita Broderick, and she has a credible rape accusation against Joseph Biden, and yet she's not allowed to be on mainstream TV. She's routinely criticized. The only people who will cover, like Tucker Carlson, and
Mhm.
yet there's way more details backing up her story than any of the women against Trump. Is that a fair system where we can
No,
expose women against Trump, but we can't when it's the sitting Democratic president?
nope, not at all. Sexual assault or any type of assault for that matter should never be biased. Ever.
So
It's not a bias problem.
you don't feel
It's a
comfortable.
criminal problem.
You're not happy as a Californian. You don't feel comfortable as a woman as an American citizen to hear that Bill Clinton had credible rape accusations, but could do a conference on women and girls. And Joe Biden had credible rape accusations, but we can't talk about it. And also Bill Clinton had credible rape accusations, but then women could criticize those women and call them whores. And none of the liberal women could come to their defense. Does that make that so you're saying that doesn't
No,
make you feel good?
no, not at
Oh,
all. It's
okay.
disgusting.
Interesting. Huh. Huh. Interesting. Why do you think more women aren't aware of this? Because I see a lot of women backing Dems versus Republicans, and I'm like, I get when Trump said that he admitted to victimizing women. He admitted
Yeah,
to rape.
he said just grab her by the pussy,
Yeah,
or that's what I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is assault. So if you
Yeah.
walk up and you grab someone without their permission, that's assault. That's characterized as a form of assault. Given the sexual nature of it, he admitted to sexual assault and battery, which is a
Mm-hmm.
felony. So
Mm-hmm. It
I'm
is.
not excusing him, but we know he literally said that and bragged about it.
Yeah.
Right. And then we flip it on the other hand, where these guys have probably raped women, and yet they're
Probably, yeah,
protected by
even worse.
I mean, on the one hand, I don't like what Trump did, but he admitted it. On the other hand, it really bothers me to see women sticking up for rapists. Does that bother you?
It bothers me. Yep, 1,000%. I never ever take. I always take the victim side, never the accuser. And it's very rare for victims to lie. Incredibly rare. Like, what is it? 5%? So why are we saying they're lying? This doesn't mean they don't get anything out of it. I'm not going to get anything out of lying about a man groping me. I'm not getting paid. Like I'm actually taking a risk. So it's less likely for them to lie.
And yet we can't believe Juanita Broderick. We can't believe the women who accused Clinton. We can't talk about them. We can't have interviews with them. We can't see them on mainstream media. That doesn't seem to back up what you're saying. I agree with you, but if women are to be believed, how come the system basically says we can't ever hear about any of the women who were raped by Bill Clinton or Joe Biden?
Because it's broken. The system supports rapists.
Not my words, folks. You heard it from a woman living in this country, right?
I mean, I am a, this is really deep, but I have been sexually assaulted, and I didn't feel supported at all. Only attacked. If I come out and I try to tell somebody, I risk losing my reputation. I risk being called a liar. I risk not getting job offers because they think I'm a liar. The accuser doesn't get anything unless I have hard evidence, which I didn't. So that's just the reality.
I can't release her name at the moment, but there's a colleague of mine that I've known for a very long time, and I'm helping her to finally prosecute the guy who raped her. And it's a slow process, and the police don't immediately believe her. She had to do a lot of documentation and a lot of calls, and I believed her, so I kept encouraging her, and I've done a little bit of consulting on the police process, and that's exactly what she said, which shocked me, that there's not enough support and enough believing and enough services to back up women when they come forward and have the courage to admit what happened to them. So yeah, I've seen it personally. If you ever want to talk offline, I'm here. If you don't, I get it. But I do want to say that I've seen what you're talking about, and it's real.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's real in other countries as well. It's real everywhere you go. It's not just here.
I'm sure, but I get the impression they do a little bit better in the Scandinavian countries. They seem to do.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with that.
You
They have a
know,
better protective system, and Canada as well.
I've read articles where the women of, Denmark and Iceland and Sweden and Norway feel very safe and empowered, and
Yeah,
possibly the most safe and empowered of any women of any nation on earth. So I know it can be done, or at least we can do a lot better because
I
their
agree.
countries are doing better.
I agree. I just acknowledge that this is going to be an issue everywhere you're at in the world.
Sure, sure.
Um, but I 100% agree. I've been to other countries. I felt safer in every other country I visited but America as a woman. And studying the facts, we are the 15th highest country for sexual assault. And out of all the first world countries, we're the first highest country for sexual assault. So there's a lot of work to be done.
About 40% of the women that I'm related to were raped.
So sorry.
So it was a very bizarre thing as a young boy.
Well, yeah, you don't understand that as a kid.
You're trying to teach children that the world is safe, and then you're also saying that almost half the women that you love and feel attached to are going to be victimized in the worst possible place, while still trying to instill some sort of sense in this boy's mind that the world's a safe place. Let me tell you, that statistic does not make a young boy feel that the world's safe if he thinks every woman that he cares about could be victimized at any moment. And if they are, nobody's going to be brought to justice. Of the 30 to 40% of the people in my family who are raped or victimized, not one person was ever brought to the police or ever brought to justice. Not one.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Absolutely awful.
So, I don't have to worry about that. I'm a big man. I'm about 280, but I get it. I don't feel it to the level you do, but I want to let you know that it bothers me, and it's just destructive all the way around. It's destructive for everybody all the way around. Not have to go through, but
it's a power play, is what it is. It's like the only way these people can get off is forcing it. But that's why I had learned self-defense, and ever since, I started learning in 2019 Krav Maga and kickboxing, and it really helped me. I also mainly did it before I moved to the big city, because obviously bigger city, more risk. But now I know how to defend myself no matter how tiny I am, and they underestimate me. So, like for example, this is a funny story. Well, not so funny, but I got groped in the club. So I kicked him in the balls, and he started crying. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and he got kicked out. So there you
go. Fellas, don't grope unless you're invited to. I think we saw that with Trump, right? Like that is you're not supposed to do that if you haven't figured it out now. I think he got off easy, personally, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, yeah, I felt pretty good after that, though.
You should. I'd start doing some squats and some leg thrusts, get those legs even stronger. So next time you can do some cracking strength. Don't just soar them up, snap those things in half, right?
That's true. The main trick is like whatever part you're aiming towards, you don't look at it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I learned in Krav Maga. Krav Maga is the Israeli form of women's self-defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're gonna go for the grind, you don't make eye contact with that part, because then they're not gonna cover it.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
Right.
Once you lock eyes on it, they're gonna think, "Oh, I'm gonna cover it." That's the trick.
Yeah. I don't know if they still teach this, but one I remember hearing a while back was, and this is horrible, but if you were going to be victimized and the guy's there and he's overpowering you for a second, and I don't know, this is just something I heard before. Maybe it's bullshit. For a second, because you're not, but for a second, pretend that you're into it and try to kiss him.
Mhm.
When you can kiss him, you bite down on his lip. Women have the teeth power to rip the entire bottom lip off. And if you
Okay.
bite through a human lip and spit it out, they're not going to be spending time holding you down. They're going to be looking for their bottom lip. It's a natural human reaction. And even a woman your size, your teeth power can bite through a man's lip who's maybe 7 foot tall.
Oh, that's good to know. They didn't teach me that in Krav Maga. That's cool.
And unfortunately, a lot of these guys will fall for it. Like pretend you're into it for a second, try to kiss them, bite down as hard as you can. When you make contact, you use your neck as hard as you can. You rip it off, and then you spit it far away. So he's going to go, "Oh my God, my lip's gone," and then he's going to stop what he's doing and look for that, and it's over there. And then you
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good to know.
Most humans don't have the ability or training to go, my lips ripped off, stay focused on what I'm doing. Maybe special forces, but nobody else. So that's just something I've heard. I don't know, here or there, but yeah. And frankly, if you're a rapist, I think you deserve to have your whole face bitten off and spit on the floor. But we'll stop there.
I agree.
But frankly, you should, before you even do that, go get some help. Don't even rape. Go see a therapist. Go check yourself in. Explain that you had some bad family history. Explain that you're a troubled person and you need help and you want to get better before you hurt someone else. That's the best thing. If you're seeing this message and you think you're one of those people, stop, go get help. Find out what's wrong with professionals.
Well, the problem is a lot of these people don't do that. They don't see that it's a problem. They think it's like normal. Most of them. And how do you force that? Like, how do you know if someone has that problem unless they act on it? You don't. It's tricky.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Going to point out here, Daniel's pointing out Trump is back on Twitter and he thinks Twitter is awful. Fair. But, I would point out, though, that did everybody hear about how Elon Musk, when he took over Twitter, fact-checked Joe Biden 3 different times and publicly embarrassed the president?
No.
Okay. Right. Exactly. Did you hear about 6 days after Elon Musk fact-checked the Democratic president with Twitter, which has never happened because Twitter always fact-checked Trump. It never fact-checked liberals. So for the first time, Twitter fact-checked liberals and it fact-checked President Biden 3 times, embarrassing him. I think it was 6 days later, Joseph Biden goes on TV and says the federal government will probably need to investigate Elon Musk for being connected to a foreign government. Does that seem like a functional democracy, or does that seem like what happens in a failed Latin American banana republic where I'm embarrassed by the news, so I use the government to go after that news agency?
Yeah, it's completely dysfunctional.
So I'm just saying, most liberals have never heard that Joe Biden got fact-checked, and most of them have never heard that he said, I want a federal investigation for treason, basically, on Elon Musk within days of being fact-checked. And the media is not picking up on, isn't that weird? You got fact-checked, and then days you're like, let's do an external investigation for treason against this guy. Almost like you want to punish him for fact-checking you. I mean,
why does he need to do that? What's wrong with being fact-checked? What does he have to hide?
And why is no one aware, and how come it's not being covered in the media? Why would you not cover that in the media? Days after president's fact check, he says, let's do a treason investigation on the guy who fact checked me. No one's mentioning that at all. No coverage in media.
That sounds like a borderline dictatorship right there.
I mean, does that sound like a healthy democracy to you?
It doesn't sound like a democracy at all.
Yeah, we know Joe Biden sniffs little kids, but he also sniffs adult women. So he's kind of across the board there.
Kids and women. How great.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't age discriminate. He'll sniff you. He'll sniff your grandma, your mom,
Oh my God. What a freak.
Isn't that equal opportunity? He's willing to sniff all the women. Good for him. No.
Wait, what about paying us equally? What about that?
Well,
sniffing's more important.
Considering that Biden had control of Congress for 2 years, Clinton had control of Congress for 4, Barack Obama had control of Congress for 4, and not one of those 3 Democratic presidents could codify Roe v. Wade into law.
Yeah. And look what happened. Look what happened.
I'm just saying, people putting a lot of faith in their Democrats. You had 3 separate Democrat presidents who could have done it, and one who ran on it and backed away from his promise, and no one's criticizing them.
Which one ran on it?
Barack Obama.
Okay.
Said, hey, you elect me as president, I'm going to codify Roe v. Wade. Then after he got elected, he said, I'm not going to do that, even though it was a campaign promise. Women are not.
Yeah, he did a lot of shit that he said he would do, but didn't do.
But why don't we have American women saying, hey, Barack, you kind of really let us down and sort of tricked us and lied to us? Like, there's nothing out there about that.
Because they're brainwashed.
Does that make you feel safe as a woman, that when a president campaigns on codifying Roe v. Wade and then lies to the American public and backs away from it, he can't even be criticized by women?
Definitely not at all.
Oh, shocking. Well, I agree with you, Devil War. I think that's what they call a banana republic. So this is why we do this. These are all facts. These are all the truth. Is it covered by mainstream media? No. Does that mean it's not true? No, it's true. Most people just aren't aware of it. So that's why we do this. That's why we keep doing this. And occasionally we win. So the Warner Brothers documentary about Calexit is out now. There's 2 more episodes coming out. I encourage everybody to check it out. Great storytelling. We agree with about 95% of what they say. There was a couple parts where we thought was not accurate, but 95%. And the thing is that we have not been able to get the media to tell our story accurately since we got big in 2016. It's the year 2022. 6 years later after we got big, and for the first time ever, we have a mainstream media company willing to tell our story straight. It took 6 years for us to find one media organization that would actually tell it correctly. But they are. And now that they are, the story's beginning to change.
It's awesome. The media, that honestly doesn't surprise me either, though, because the media is so full of lies and bullshit. A lot of people I know keep thinking Calexit is communist. I don't know where the hell they're getting that from.
California?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I mean, I'm an ex-Republican, so I love California values. I left the Republican Party because they were racist and bigoted. And I left in 2012. Okay, way before Trump. I saw the trends in the wall. But Calexit's about California. If we were independent, we would have more trade deals with other countries. We would have lower taxes on our businesses. How's that anything but capitalist?
Yeah, it's not communist at all.
If we're lowering taxes and increasing trade, isn't that pro-business?
Yeah, I'm telling a lot of my friends and family about my new work with you guys, and they're like, "Oh, is it communist? Are you a communist? Are you a communist?" I'm like, "No, we don't want to be like Russia or North Korea. What the hell?"
But you're starting to see that's the stereotype people have of California. It's not
Yeah.
about you. It's not about Calexit. It's that you're doing this thing with California. So you must be a communist and you must believe in communism because all the garbage we've heard in mainstream news about California, it's California, they basically want to be part of the Soviet Union.
Well, and also when you talk about equity and equality, they think it's communism. Like, oh, women's rights. Oh, all races are equal. Oh, we need to reform the justice system. They're like, oh, communism. What is that? Where's that coming from? Actually, in communist countries, they're worse off socially. That's not what we want.
It almost sounds, Rosalind, like you're saying California values aren't accepted by average Americans.
It's not. Like I moved to other states and they think like I'm some pot smoking hippie. I mean, which I do smoke pot, but not every day. But they think I'm some communist witch. It's like so weird.
Everybody in California smokes pot, so.
Oh yeah. No, but
That's it.
I'm just saying they're thinking I'm like smoking pot every day, high all the time. I'm like, or some witch who's not religious.
Mm-hmm.
It's like weird.
Yeah. That's how we were. When I started talking about Calexit, people were like, you guys must be permanent pot smokers. And they thought we had the Rastafarian hat on our head. And we're just like, I just finished smoking a blunt and said, what would be cool, man, is if we were independent. Right. And that's the image they had of us, because that was the image they had of Californians. So they heard about Calexit. So they, this is about some guys who got a dropout from Berkeley University, who don't shower. And they wrote poems and ink on their chests about women empowerment, even though they're guys, and all these stereotypes. And the reality is, this is why I dress up every time, right? So that they don't get to have that evidence they're looking for. So whenever you see me on camera talking about Calexit, I'm wearing a suit or a tie, and I'm talking about hard facts. And I do that for a reason, so that we can defeat the stereotype.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I literally work in fashion, so it's my job to dress up.
Yeah, that's your career. Yeah. But that's the point. We have been waiting 6 years to get one media organization to tell our story straight. We've had about 50 articles about us that didn't get it correct. Now we're dealing with one and only one that does. So that should tell you a little bit of something about the media. And I dealt with the same stereotypes to the point that I had to be wearing, a tie and a shirt and only talking about hard facts every single time so that we could get any sort of audience. And all that is bias. We talk about the facts. There's a lot of reasons to believe in independent California. You don't have to believe it's a good idea, but there's a lot of reasons to believe it's worth talking about. And all we get in the media is, did you guys just finish your 15th blunt? Is that why you're talking about this? No. We're talking about it because, economics, international trade, the direction of the world economy, the fact that the Supreme Court strikes down our laws that protect us from gun violence and violence against each other and protect us for climate change, and all that's being removed.
To be honest, weed helps with good ideas, at least for me. But I'm not chain smoking every day, but it helps come up with a lot of my designs. It opens up my creativity. I'm not a politician, but I thought of a lot of my designs while I was smoking weed.
A
lot of us do the same.
I will admit this now, but in 2012, this is 10 years ago, folks. Okay, so chill. I was smoking a lot when I was writing the book California's Next Century, which was the book that started Calexit. So I was smoking a lot, and I was listening a lot to DMX, X Gonna Give It To You. So that was how that book was written. That was years ago. Okay, folks, I've calmed down since, and the book's still based upon facts, but yeah, it's not all bad. Sometimes it can help with creativity.
Yeah, exactly. It's better than alcohol when all the other average Americans are chugging beers.
That's true.
I mean, not saying that you shouldn't do it, but alcohol has worse side effects than weed. Also, why is that? Why do people hate on weed when alcohol is like globally accepted and doesn't do any good, but weed is a medicine? That also makes no sense to me.
That's a good point. Because when you go to so I have friends and family who worked in hospitals. So if you go to the hospital and you go into an ER room, in the ER room, they have a fridge. And in the fridge, they'll have alcohol, wine, and beer. But they won't have heroin or coke or crack or anything. And the reason is that somebody comes into the ER, they could die from alcohol withdrawal.
Yeah.
But they won't die from drug withdrawal, which should tell you everything. ERs don't have drugs because people will die from drug withdrawal, but they have alcohol because enough people die from alcohol withdrawal if they're alcoholics. They have to give them alcohol in the ER to keep them alive. But they don't do that with any form of drug. That should tell you how much more dangerous alcohol is compared to any drug out there.
Yeah, it's addictive.
Just saying, that's the one.
I consider it a drug, but nobody else does. Doesn't make sense.
Well, you're going to need to learn something. It's called, I know it's not cool to say this, but basically I'm right and the rest of you are wrong. I had to learn how to think that. I didn't say it to my family, but when I got started with this, they were saying, oh, this is crazy. California will never secede. This is a stupid idea. Nobody's going to back it. Nobody's going to be into it. And, you know, they said that. And every Thanksgiving and Christmas, they'd kind of snicker when I talk about my book. And then 2016 happened. And everybody was talking about it. Yeah. And everybody was talking about Calexit. And all these polls were coming out going 32%. And they knew I was the only one talking about it for years before. And I go, no, it's here. It's real. That Thanksgiving, after Calexit got big, after years of it not, was the most quiet Thanksgiving I've ever been to. Nobody said shit to me. There was no joking, no snickering. There was a lot of whispers and quiet, like, holy fuck, the guy was right the whole time. Oh my God. So just remember that when you're dealing with your family. Go, oh, no, you're wrong. No, I'm right. And then just wait. And then facts are going to come out. And then you go back to them and go, remember when you said I didn't know what I was talking about? What's this? This just happened. And this totally backs me up and doesn't back you up. Can you explain? Mm-hmm. After you do that once, they're going to learn to shut the hell up.
That's true.
Seen it happen. So stick with the facts. Stick with what you know is true. Don't worry about what others think, and the facts eventually boil to the surface. Unfortunately, in America, it takes some time. Okay.
That's so true. People are not focused on facts anymore. They're focused on opinions, and by one end of the spectrum.
As long as you know your facts back up what I want, it's cool. And if they don't, then I'm not cool with that. So, oh, there it is. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Today is the hottest day in the national capital, Delhi, while 49.2 degrees.
The presidency of Donald Trump has pitted liberals and conservatives.
Okay, so let me show you guys a couple things. Just to back up, see me this. So Daniel said that he saw the book and he thought that it was awesome. And then Devil War had a question about what was the book or the documentary that is getting the story straight with Calexit. And then Devil Waller also pointed out that Calexit had done a show with Comedy Central. So let me show you all those things real quick so you can see what they are, and then we'll wrap up today's show. This is the book that started the whole movement, California's Next Century 2.0 Economic Renaissance, published in 2012. You can get a Kindle version real cheap or a paperback. Daniel just got one, and he says it's cool. This is how it started back in 2012. First book ever talking about how California could be independent. This is the documentary that's out now. So look at the time, right? This book came out in 2012, full of facts. I'm a crazy nutbag. I'm insane. I smoke blunts. That's where all this idea came out. Takes us all the way to the year 2022. Book comes out in 2012. First time we get a fair report from the media is 2022, 10 years later. Here's that documentary by Awfully Nice, also produced in partnership with Warner Brothers Music, about Calexit, called The Last Resort. That's a picture of California when it was a independent country from America and ancient Spanish maps. They've done all of these episodes: Tipping Point, Ballad, After the Gold Rush, The Great State of Jefferson, Land of Flowing Water, Civil War. The next two are People of the Sun and Alcatraz. And so, again, here's how it starts in 2012, 10 years to finally get the actual story. Here's a little bit of Comedy Central. Here's the show we did on Comedy Central years ago.
So what else you got?
The idea of national parks. We invented that. Yeah. The idea of clean air. Those sort of big ideas.
So you want to create a country that believes in big ideas.
Yes.
And wants to welcome immigrants. It sounds to me like you're stealing America's ideas.
We are.
Original idea or not, this.
So, been at it for a while. Yeah, I did that for Comedy Central so that they would show the show. It was a controversial move. Anyways, that's it for our show. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Devil War. Thank you, James. Thank you all for watching. I know we only get a few viewers when this is live, but we get 50 times more as it plays out over the next 2 weeks. So for everybody watching this, this was our election review show. We showed you that Republicans won everything, just like we said. Calexit predicted Republicans will win everything. This is Trump's party. People did not lose faith all those years. And that's why we said, Republicans win everything. We also talked about victimization and how in America, women are not treated fairly when it comes to victimization, and that applies to both the Democrats and the Republicans. And then we talked a little bit about how Calexit got started, the document that got going on, and our video on Comedy Central. So thank you all, everybody. I'm going to put a link to the Comedy Central video in the chat for anybody that wants. And I'm going to post it up in the banners or the comments for anybody that wants to check it out. So if you're watching the show, you can click on the link. That'll take you to the Comedy Central show. We're going to end it here. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Californians. Remember, we're right. And the people who tell you that you're crazy literally are ignorant of the facts. So maybe don't listen to them, because eventually the truth comes out. All right, we'll leave it there. Love y'all.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.